Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, That Model Railway Guy, and welcome to my 6,000 subscriber special. As you probably already guessed, this is going to be a brand new Hornby Live Steam video, and I know you guys have been really wanting to see another one of these videos for quite a while now, and I'm really excited for you to see what I have in store today, because to be honest, up until now, running the live Steam hasn't been that easy. When I made my previous videos, I didn't have a large layout to run the loco on, and so either I ended up sort of setting up a circuit of track on the floor and running the loco around on that, or even just running it on the rolling road so that the loco was still working, but it was just completely static. But as you may be aware, over the past year, I have been building a modular layout, and it was actually thanks to the live Steam that I decided to go down the modular route. Originally, the layout was going to be an end-to-end layout, which meant it would run from the fiddle yard through to a small terminus. But I realised that in order to use the live Steam to its full potential, I really needed to have a full circuit so that I could set the train running and let it run and run and run. And so the modular layout essentially allows me to have the best of both worlds. I can have an end-to-end layout when I feel like it, and then when I want to run the live Steam, I can have a full circuit. And now that I have completed all the track work and the circuit is complete, I really don't have any excuse not to run the Hornby Live Steam on the modular layout. So that's what we're going to do today. Obviously though, I didn't want to jump in head first and just run the loco around the layout without any preparation, because honestly, the Hornby Live Steam Mallard is one of my prized possessions and I really don't want to break it. So I needed to come up with a way to test that the loco was going to be alright to run round the layout, but without actually running the live Steam loco round the layout. So I had a bit of a think, and this is what I came up with.
So as you can see, I've got a model of Flying Scotsman on the layout, and this is going to give me a rough idea of how the live Steam Mallard will perform. The reason I chose Scotsman is that, like Mallard, it's a large tender loco from the LNER, and most importantly, because they're both Pacifics, they have the same wheel configuration. Now, the plan here is just to spend some time running the Scotsman round the layout and identifying any issues that may arise. The layout is being modelled as a heritage railway, and so usually it has industrial tank engines and small tender locos running on it, so having a big express engine like this is quite a step up. Usually with smaller engines, the main problem is making sure they're getting enough power to stop them from stalling, but with Flying Scotsman that's not really an issue, seeing as it has so many wheels to pick up power from. Instead, the problem with larger locos like this is making sure it can get around all the curves on the layout that the small industrial engines don't care about. Also, another big thing I'm worried about is the rail joints between baseboards. Now, most of these are okay, but I know there are a few that are a little bit uneven. Again, with smaller locos running at slower speeds, it's not ideal, but it doesn't pose as much of a problem. The live Steam does tend to run quite fast though, and so if it hits one of those rail joints at speed, there is a very real possibility that it could fly off the track. So being able to identify these potential issues now is really crucial. This Flying Scotsman model is a standard DC loco, which means it's much more controllable. If there's a problem, I can turn off the power and I know the loco will stop, but with live Steam you don't have that option. Another thing worth mentioning as well is that the Flying Scotsman is running on DC power here and not DCC. The reason for this is that the decoders in DCC engines try to keep the speed constant regardless of whether or not you're going up or down an incline. Obviously though, on DC there is no decoder, and so with a standard controller, locos will slow down when they're going uphill and speed up when they're going back down the other side. But why is this important? Well, with live Steam you have to be aware of the gradients, so if you give the loco more power so that it can get up the hill, you have to try and close the regulator a bit when going downhill, otherwise it'll just keep picking up speed until you end up having a crash. Now, I know that the room this layout is set up in has a little bit of a wonky floor, and I've tried to get the baseboards as even as I possibly can. That said, at this scale, going up and down even just by half a centimetre is still quite a lot. So running the Flying Scotsman on DC is just giving me an opportunity to see where the loco struggles and may need a bit of extra power, and then also where it's likely to pick that speed back up again. For the most part though, the Flying Scotsman has been performing really well, and I don't think there are any major concerns. So for now we can bring the Flying Scotsman to a halt and just do a quick little bit of maintenance before we get to the main event, which is running the live steam. So, as I mentioned earlier, I am a little bit worried about some of the rail joints between baseboards. All my rail joints are soldered to brass screws at the ends of the baseboards to keep the alignment, so really it's just a case of heating up the solder to loosen the rail. And when it's free to move about, I'm just using a screwdriver to adjust it so that it aligns with the corresponding rail on the other module. It's not just a case of getting it lined up side to side, but also getting the height correct as well. And then when I'm happy with the alignment, I can move the soldering iron away and let it all cool down so it stays fixed in position. The good thing here is that I haven't ballasted any of these joints yet, which makes this process a lot easier. If I had to dig that away first before I could get to the brass screws, I would definitely run the risk of ruining all my previous work. With the problematic joints now resoldered, I'm feeling much more confident that the live steam won't jump off the track as it runs around the layout. So at this point I thought I was ready to give the Live Steam Mallard a test run, but as you'll see now, things didn't exactly go to plan. It all started off well, if a bit slow, but as the loco moved around the layout, it started acting really erratically. The motor that controls the regulator was opening and closing on its own without any input from me. And this certainly wasn't ideal, as at one moment it could be running really nicely, and then suddenly without warning the loco would accelerate to full speed and this would happen.
So, that was a bit of a false start, wasn't it? Luckily though, I did manage to figure out what the problem was, and it was voltage drop. So essentially, the live steam requires much more power to run than our conventional 12-volt trains, and the wire that I'd used to join all the baseboards together just wasn't cutting it. And this meant that as the loco was running round the layout and getting further and further away from the controller and where it joined to the layout, it was acting more and more erratically because it was losing power. And so this was causing a real problem, and unfortunately the only way to really solve this was to rewire pretty much the entire layout. Yeah. It was a bit of a long and tedious task, and I didn't film it because I didn't think you'd be particularly interested. But I have done it, and now it is finally time to give the Live Steam Mallard a proper first run on the modular layout. Here we go.
So here is the Hornby Live Steam Mallard on the track again, and hopefully this time things will be a little less chaotic. Before we can run it though, we do have to steam it up. I've shown this on the channel before, but I know some people do like seeing this process, and others may not have seen my previous videos anyway, so that's why I've included it again. First off, I remove the coal load from the tender and then undo the screw at the back. This lets me fill the tender with water. Remember, with live steam locos, we can only use distilled water so that we don't get any impurities. You probably could get away with using tap water for a while, but over time the impurities would start to clog up the system, causing the loco to steam really badly. If you want to see an example of this, you should definitely check out my video where I had a go at restoring a live steam Mammoth engine. With the tender filled up and the screw replaced, we can now turn our attention to the front of the loco. With the chimney removed, there is another screw under here that also needs to be taken out. We can then add a few drops of oil before replacing the screw and the chimney. And with that, the loco is now ready to be steamed up, so let's get the power on. I I have to admit, I am a bit nervous now. I think I've sorted out all the electrical issues, but there's no real way of knowing until we run the loco. I think my main worry is that it accelerates so much that it comes off on one of the corners. Unlike a conventional loco, the live steam doesn't stop immediately either. It works like a real steam engine because, well, it is, and so there's a bit of a delay from when you make an adjustment to actually seeing a change in speed. All that said though, I don't think there's anything more I can do now other than run the loco, so fingers crossed everyone, here goes. Well, I think we can consider this a huge success, and it's so nice to see the Live Steam Mallard running round the modular layout without issue. I know a lot of you have been wanting to see this for a while, and this moment was a big goal of mine when I first started the layout, so it's great to finally see it happening. At long last, we have live steam on the Modular Model Railway. Speaking of the time it's taken to get to this point, because this was shot over a few months, you may have noticed that several things have changed on the layout throughout the video. Some of those things you will have already seen, like the platform construction, and other things like the scenery around the tunnel are coming very, very soon. For now though, I think we can just appreciate how nicely the Hornby Live Steam Mallard is running, and hopefully this is the first of many running sessions. All those electrical issues seem to be sorted, and it's not jumping off the track and derailing either, which is a big relief. And sometimes when the light catches it, we can even see a nice amount of steam too, which is always nice to see considering it is a live steam loco after all. So for me, the main focus now is trying to get all the scenery finished on this layout. It's great that we finally have the live steam running, but we really don't want to see it running on bare boards, do we? I think this will look so much more impressive when all the scenics are done and the back scene is in place, and seeing this today has really inspired me to get on with it and finish the layout. Anyway, that's going to be it for this time. I really do hope you've enjoyed this video, and thanks again for helping me get to 6,000 subscribers. If you haven't already, now would be a great time to hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon too, especially if you want to see more live Steam videos in the future. And believe me, there will be more live Steam videos in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!